Lu disease Luoyang. There was a daughter named Sun Yee's son, married Jiang prefect's wife, a good marital relations, but only 20 days his wife had died. Sun Yee too distraught to be maid. He then left home, villa to live in the mountains. In a rainy day, Sun Yee lying in broad daylight, no one else in the house, suddenly saw revealing a pair of woman's feet under the curtain suite. Sun Yee surprised, asked who. There is a woman opened the curtain came, about 18 or 19, plain clothes clean, slightly dark pockmarked face, it seems to be a poor girl. Sun Yee thought, probably the village renters. He snapped, he said what happened should and servants say, how cannot just come in. The woman said with a smile I'm not the village people, my native of Shandong, surnamed Lu. My father was a scholar named Small disease free with his father came to a foreign land. Have long lost their parents due to the family of King Mu Gongzi. Celebrities are willing to serve to be your maid. Reading Sun Yee said with a smile, your but good intentions and servants live with me here, it is not convenient, so after I went home, then formally hire you. Lu disease hesitate to say, I knew little talent Maochou, dare expect to be here, as long as the wife of a former maid to be a bookcase on the line, probably still not get the books back. Sun Yee said the maid also need to choose a storage auspicious then, pointing to shelves, asked her to pass book volume 4 brought, in order to test her. Lu disease turned a bit to find, to their own view again, and then handed the Sun Yee, smiled and said, today the river kicks sing not in the room. Sun Yee provocative phrase to hear the words, but also a little tempted. Lu secretly put the disease-free stay in the house. Lu disease nothing to do, just sort books for the Sun Yee white bookcase, rub incense furnace, the whole room was clean and tidy and bright. Sun Yee very happy. In the evening, he sent his servants to go somewhere else to live. Lu disease Dimishunian care Sun Yee, gallant. Sun Yee to let her go to bed, she took the light away. Sun Yee awakens to find a bed to sleep. People touched, Lu know is disease free, she grabbed her shake, Lu awakened disease free, stand up and stand at the bedside. Sun Yee said, why not another house to go to bed, the bed where you sleep where it is. Lu disease free, said in timid and afraid. Sun Yee very pity her, put a bed in it pillows, let her lie. Lu suddenly heard from the disease-free breath to breath whiff, such as lotus core fragrance, feeling very strange. They call Lu disease-free pillow and sleep with him, feel mind waves, and sleep with her, she is very fond of. But think about her hidden in the house is not the answer. Take her home but was afraid to provoke discussion. Sun Yee one and his family lived across a dozen door, then think of a way to let Lu disease first secretly living in the aunt's home, and then try to marry her. Lu praised the disease this way is very good, he said your aunt, I am very familiar with, do not tell you to go, let me go now. Sun Yee sent her, she went over the wall. Sun Yee aunt was a widow, morning just opened the door, Lu disease came in a sideways. Aunt asked who she was, Lu disease replied, let your nephew came to visit my aunt's son to go back home, the road is long and the lack of traveling, you let me live here temporarily, and believe, and let her stay. Sun Yee home, Wang Yu aunt had a maid, to give to him, sent Lu to take home to disease free, since then, Sun Yee Lu disease related living sit around, a long time, Sun Yee more love her, took her to wife. Later, rich family and he wanted to marry, he does not agree, and Lu have heart disease-free life together ideas. Lu know the disease, struggling to persuade his wife, then married us wife, but always loved Lu disease. Sun Yee kiss wife is very virtuous, who do not care Sun Yee in the house overnight, Lu disease-free and therefore more respectful of us, wives get along very well. We gave birth to a son named Jiang. Lu disease is very fond of him, holding him to play regularly, as natural, like, when the son was 3 years old, she left the nurse, and disease-free sleep with Lu, we called him, he did not go, soon, she have died, asked the dying Sun Yee the future, disease-free favorite of our son, let Jiang when your son can, the disease-free help for the first wife can put us burial. Sun Yee wanted to photograph us orders do, this going to tell the capitalists the same family, they all cannot do that. Lu also tried to put off disease-free, this would give way. One Wang Xinguang County with his daughter. Her husband had just died. She remarried Sun Yee wanted. Sun Qi really do not want a wife. Wang Xiangguan home again someone to propose marriage. Wang also said matchmaker how beautiful daughter. Sun admire the royal power, encouraged with the Sun Yee consent to the marriage. Sun Qi also confused, and Wang married. Wang really beautiful, but very arrogant, very picky supplies of clothes, do not like to lose destruction. Sun Yee because like her, could not bear not to follow. After the door a few months, Sun Qi overnight in her room every day, Lu disease free in front of her, do not write, not when anger to her husband who, several times shouting, Sun Qi very upset, so often the only places, such Wang and angry, Sun Qi cannot stand, had an excuse to go to the capital to escape the torment of the shrew. Wang Lu blamed her husband away from disease free. Lu disease humbly and carefully served Wang. Wang is still not happy. One day Wang Lu is disease-free at night to sleep in their own bed when the Value Jiang go without sleep together and Lu disease. Whenever Lu disease was shouting serve, A Kennedy to cry. Wang bored, keeping it up, Lu disease hastily called a nurse to hold A Jiang. A Kennedy did not go with the nurse insisted to hold him. A Jiang cried even more. Wang was furious, A Kennedy to beat up on, A Jiang just go with the nurse. A firm therefore had the fright of illness, could not eat. Wang Lu not to go to Aegean disease, a strong all day crying, she had snapped the nurse, let her Aegean on the floor. A gas exhaust hoarseness Cain cried, shouted to drink, not to give Wang. In the evening, take advantage of Wang Lu disease is not, secretly went to Aegean bottled water. Aegean see Lu disease free, do not leave the water, pull the skirt Lu disease free, more than crying. Wang heard, menacing out. A Kennedy heard Wang's voice cry, straightened herself, fell to the ground gave up the ghost. Lu disease crying, Wang curse you do jai and be make that ugly to use the child's death to threaten me not to say that Chia child is killed in the palace of Prince. Wang Xiangguan daughter afford to play. Lu disease sobbed hold back the tears, the child request to buy a coffin. Wang allowed, immediately ordered the corpse thrown to the wild. Wang left. Lu Jian a sneaky disease-free body, limbs still feel warm. She whispered to the nurse, said you do not hurry to send their children taken away, waiting in the wild. It'll be right Aegean if you die, we go and bury him if still alive, we co-parenting. Nanny said, alright, Lu disease-free into the room, took some jewelry, to catch up with the nurse. A hard look at them together. A Kennedy has been revived. Two very happy to discuss the villa into the mountains to take refuge and Lu disease foot nurse worry small walkway. Lu disease waiting for her to go first, walks like a gust of wind. The nurse ran hard to catch up. 2 more hours, Aegean critically ill and cannot go any further. They had one else seems to enter a village, came to a farmhouse door, leaning against the door waiting for dawn. It is not, had to spend the night knock on the door. Took out the jewelry into money, hired a witch, doctor, ultimately did not cure. Lu disease break out crying, said Nanny you have a good look at a child, I went looking for his father, after listening to the nurse, saying that Lu disease free is absurd, when a positive surprise, Lu disease has disappeared. Nurse horrified. That day, Sun Qi in the capital, was lying in bed. Quietly Lu disease suddenly came in. Sun Qi sat up in surprise, said, just lie down on the dream yet? Lu disease free holding his hand choked, tears Dunjia sadly, is speechless. After quite a while before they burst into tears and said I am an arduous journey, and Aegean fled Yang, speaks, burst into tears, it's gone down to the ground. Sun Qi alarmed, thought it was a dream. The servant called a look. Lu disease-free clothes and shoes are truly stay on the ground. All these strange things are difficult to understand. Sun Qi immediately ready to pack up, starry night to drive home. Sun Qi Lu home heard his son died of disease-free escape, crying bitterly. Speaking of offended Wang retorted. Sun Qi got angry, took out a knife, made Pu Fu hurry to pull, not close to the Sun Yee Wang, on the knife to throw from a distance to Wang, while knife blade hit his forehead. She had beaten hair down and howled and ran out. going to tell her parents. Sun Yee pulled her back with a stick to beat the innumerable, plate array of clothes, black and blue, and the pain cannot stand. Sunday Fang Zhongqi people carried her care and other injuries after a good break her out. Wang's brother heard this, furious, let many people condemn Matador. Sun Yee also recruiting some of the servants' robust handheld instrument to resist. The two sides kept shouting, making for just casual day. Wang also did not feel this feeling. It will be reported to the official Sun Yee. Sun Yee into under the protection of the servants of the city, go in person to the defense lobby. It tells the story of Wang bad things. Sun Yee magistrate cannot yield. Took him to the county school. Instructors go to please royal teachings. Mr. Zhu also instructors family of children, upright. Ask the court later, angrily said the magistrate. Master thought I was the kind of despicable instructors, will extort money wicked, and to lick carbuncle hemorrhoids on the powerful. Saw this beggar face, I do not, out, does not even accept the case. Sun Yee upright back home. Wang helpless. Motion to relatives and friends, let them come forward to mediation. Sun Yee wanted to apologize to Wang. Sun Yee refused to call people to a dozen. Mediation has not been successful. Wang's injury is getting better. Sun Yee want to break her, afraid she does not accept her parents, just like the original did. Go on. Concubine dead. Son died. Sun Yee sad day and night and would like to find Aegean nanny. Ask for details. Thus recalled Lu said the disease escaped to Yang, the near village called Yangtuan, suspected they were there. Very question, no one knows. Some say 50 miles outside a place called Yang Valley. Sun Kipe people writing out spies, and she found it. The original Aegean of going on much better, and after looking very happy to meet him, along with home, a Kennedy to see his father, burst into tears. Sun Yee also tears. Wang heard Aegean still alive, angrily ran out. Wang cursed. A strong positive crying. See Wang, scared quickly put into the arms of his father, like his father to let him hide. Sun Yee hold up a look, the gas has no way out. He hurried to call, after a child was revived. Sun Yee said angrily, I do not know how she was brutally abused child, my son was so scared like this. So said a certificate of divorce. Wang returned to her parents. Wang really is not acceptable. Wang again lived back. Sun Yee last resort, and had another son living in a courtyard, not Wang. And exchanges. Nanny speak at length about some of the strange case of the disease Lu. Sun Yee Lu came to realize that no disease is a ghost. Grateful for her friendship, her clothes and shoes buried, the question of a tombstone that read, Lu disease tomb ghost wife soon. Wang gave birth to a boy. The child she was strangled. Sun Yee more angry, turned her back to her parents. Hugh. Wang took her sent back. Sun Yee wrote a plain reported her to the upper level official, but all in because Wang Xiangguan, the case will not be accepted. Later, Wang Xiangguan died. Sun Yee and constantly complain, the official decision will only Wang break back home. Sun Yee is no longer a wife, I do not take a maid as a concubine. After Wang back to her parents, aggressive reputation very far, after 3 or 4 years, no one to propose marriage. Wang suddenly repented, but things are irreversible. One child former maid, came to Wang hospitality to her, shed tears in front of her. The maid may Miss Gufu gets Wang Qi's son after the maid came back and told the Sun Yee. Sun Yee smiled and did not mind. It took more than a year. Wang's mother died. She was lonely, childless. They were disgusted with her sister-in-law. Wang adds to the feeling of displacement, often crying all day. One poor book of life and death of his wife. Wang's brother going to give some dowry to marry her off. The scholar. Wang refused. She often secretly asked from the people to pay tribute to the Sun Yee, cried and let people tell her feelings of remorse. Sun Yee ignore. One day, she had with the maid, secretly on a donkey, even toward Chia. Sun Yee just out from their homes, they had to meet her and knelt down the stairs, weeping. Sun Yee to drive her away. Wang took his clothes and knelt down. Sun Yee firmly rejected, said, if we live together, usually no gossip can if something happens, and your brother Luoyang Sahu, think of divorce, where to do it. Wang said I ran a steal come to you, and never return to the truth. I'll leave me, or I will die here. Besides, I am married to you from 23 back to her parents divorced, even if there is very evil, is not a sub love you to finish off a bracelet, feet together and put on the bracelet, the sleeves covered in the above, said, incense vowed brotherhood during the day get married, you little do not to remember. Sun Yee also heard the remark tears, let the servant Wang helped into the house, but then still suspect Wang risked in playing what, they want their brother's writings as evidence. Wang said I was secretly ran out, with face again asked the brothers if you do not believe me possession of tool suicide here, please let me cut off fingers to their minds. So pull from the waist a sharp knife on the bed in the left hand finger cut off blood spattering. Sun Qi appalled, as she hurried Gushang, Wang pain face has changed, but not moan loudly, smiled and said, I have today. Wang Liang dream wake up, you just want to borrow a small room here to practice. Why it is also suspicion let the Sun Yee concubine another son and live in one place, that sooner or later travel between two wives' house, looking for a good doctor and a good day drug treatment refers to Wang's injury healed over a month. Since then, Wang Hengxing not drink do not eat, just behind closed doors recited every day. After some time, she had no one to see the home affairs presided, said to Chi-sun I came back and wanted to turning a blind eye to anything, now spent housekeeping in this way. I am afraid that in the future children and grandchildren will starve to death in no way. I had the cheek to come back a tube of it so the maid pufu altogether, give them a day spinning weaving. Servants because she is his plea back, look down on her, talk behind ridiculed, Wang did not seem to hear, then check the effectiveness of their work, too lazy to scourge punishment, bluntly, all this fear, how to teach himself through the curtain and management accounts of people afterwards, the accounts managed very carefully. Sun Qi very pleased to have her son and concubine meet Wang, a Kennedy then had 9 years old, she had tried taking care of his son in the morning to go to school, she had often put goodies waiting for him to stay after school to eat, a Kennedy grew to like her. One day, a Jiang with stones mahjong, I had just come over, a stone hit her on the head, immediately fell to the ground, took a while still unconscious, Sun Qi was furious, hit a Jiang, Wang regained consciousness, tried to stop, and said happily, I used to abuse children, and my heart often cannot forgive myself. Today fortunately offset by the crime Sun Yee therefore more loved her, but Wang often refused him stay, Letty went to the house of concubines to live. After a few years, Wang gave birth to several children, failed to survive, she said this is my son killed former nemesis, a firm later married a wife, she had to pay to put things outside the home a Kennedy to follow the above, a matter within the home to the daughter management. One day she said to the Sun Yee one day I'm going to die, Sun Qi do not believe, Wang himself ready coffin clothes, to the day, put the coffin shroud lying dead, face, and when he died, was alive as house also floating a strange flavor, after Shaolin, aroma slowly dispersed. Different she said hearts love a person, had not the appearance of beauty and ugliness, Maochou, beauty, knows not love their people subjectively think they beautiful, however, like Lu disease such people, if not being jealous shrew, her virtues would not show up, as she had almost let the quirks of people be ridiculed. As for Wang like this is his wife, her original industry roots very deep, so suddenly wake up, immediately embarked on the right path, people into hell, are some rich without going through a difficult person.